What if you didn't grow up with money? What if you didn't come from real estate? What if all you had was a W 2 job, $30,000 in savings, and the willingness to ask people for help? That's exactly how today's guest got started. Welcome to Raising Private Money. I'm your host, Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority. And today you're going to hear how real estate investors actually scale when they don't have capital, connections, or a safety net. My guest today is Alex Komanoff. Alex started investing in 2018 with his very first Burr deal, a deal he still owns today. And within 2 years, he scaled to 30 units, forcing appreciation by 3 to 4 times through smart renovations and strategic refinances. No hype, just execution. Now, later he moved into commercial multifamily, became a co-GP on a 105-unit apartment deal, and along the way learned what really matters: relationships, underwriting discipline, and speed. That frustration with slow, broken underwriting, it led Alex to build UWise, an AI native platform to help investors analyze deals, write real offers, and track their entire acquisition pipeline in one place. Now, today, Alex is actively pursuing 50 to 150 unit value add multifamily deals and hosting his own podcast, Path of Progress. Now, if you want to learn how to raise capital before you have credibility, analyze deals faster, and think like a real acquirer, this episode is for you. Don't go anywhere. You're going to meet my guest, Alex, right after this.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Welcome to the show, Alex.
Hi, Jay. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you, but let's dive in. Alex, as I said there a minute ago, you didn't come from money. You didn't come from real estate. You had a W-2 job and $30,000 in savings. My question is, what did you do first that most people, real estate investors, skip when they're trying to break into real estate without capital or credibility?
You know, everyone is sold the sex idea. You have to go as big as possible, as soon as possible. I was just, humble, easy way to start, right? I listened to Bigger Pockets podcast and I got excited about this BRR strategy. And I looked for the property, for the right property. At that time, I live in Boston, and you can imagine nothing can pencil in Boston. Everything was oversold in cash. I couldn't buy anything. And the first properties I found actually brought to me by my relative, and we partnered up to buy our first 2-family house in Trenton, New Jersey, in central New Jersey. It was my first house. Many mistakes were done there, but I wasn't looking for 50 units, 10 units, 20 units. I was looking for just first properties that I can validate this idea of BRR, and I made it work. It was a long process, but from very beginning, I knew the numbers work. Before getting this first property, I underwrote hundreds of properties, which in Boston, New Jersey, out of state. I looked everywhere, but when I found the right one, I knew the numbers should work, and it did work. I did a lot of mistakes on this first deal. I read a lot of books before that and listened to podcasts, so all of the podcasts that's available there. But as I learned, hey, don't do this mistake and watch out contractors. And I did all. I heard it all, but I did anyways. I did all of these mistakes. And the first deal, I lost 2 general contractors. I lost deposit. I had to drive 5 hours back from Boston to New Jersey to finish this project and finish it myself supervising. So this was my first proof of concept project that instead of 3 months that was planned, it took me 8 months, but I was able to cash out, refinance, take entire capital stack out of the deal, and it gave me my proof of concept, and it propelled me. I got another 2-family house next year, and in a year I bought another 25 units. And that year, on the second year, I got propelled. I already got my proof of concept. I got 2 or 3 projects under my belt, and when I have deals, I knew the numbers work. So it was simple to me to approach people and say, hey, I have this deal, and do you want to invest or not? I mean, I have friends and families that was interested, in real estate, but never dabbled in this space. But when I told them what I did, and when I brought this up, it was just an easy pass. I raised capital for those deals. I After the third deal, I didn't invest in penny in my the next five deals from my own money. I just, because I was over, I had these projects ongoing, so I had to be creative. So I found partners in the places that I thought I would never find, but I just had these conversations.
Perfect. Now you're talking about this strategy that you used on your very first deal, and that's the BRRRR method, or the BRRRR method. To make sure everybody understands what that stands for and how that strategy works, explain that method.
Absolutely. It's my favorite strategy. For everyone who's starting out, guys, you should check it out and should listen to it. So BRRRR, this stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. This is a great strategy. You guys, you should look for value add properties that you can build sweat equity. You can work on a property yourself, or you can hire contractors, have enough equity, build up equity in the property, and rent this property, right? It should be investment property. And when you rent it, you should pay your bills and you'll have a cash flow. And because you build this equity in this property, you go for refinancing, cash out refinancing, we call it, right? And what happens is you go to the bank and say, listen, I have this property I bought not long time ago. Usually season period varies on the bank. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes 12 months that you have to hold the property before you can go for refinancing. But you go, I bought this property super cheap, and I've worked on it very hard with my contractors, by myself, however you did it. And they say, okay, let's check out how much value it is. They send new appraiser, you start a new process like a new financing, and they brought up new value. And if you did brought up the value after the building, which you should have calculated in advance from your comps, from local, it's either a strategy how to do it. But the bank will tell you, yeah, your property value is now 200,000 versus you bought it 100,000 a year ago, and now you can take out 75 to 80% LTV on your property, and leave some equity, because the bank needs equity, right? They cannot just give away money for free, but they leave 20% cushion, 25% cushion on the property, and the rest money they'll loan back to you as a loan, and you can use it to accelerate your business and buy more properties.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, Alex, you scaled your real estate business to 30 units in less than 2 years by forcing appreciation. You were using that strategy. What are some of the value add levers that some real estate investors completely underestimate when you're trying to increase, that NOI return?
You should understand where you're buying. I mean, it's not only about increasing, but it's also buying right. So when you buy property, it should always already be in a good spot. I don't buy properties just, hey, I want to buy property just to hold it. I want to be in this game. It has to make sense from the beginning. I have to find a good deal. So just from there, you already should have some built-in equity in the property. But then you have a different levers that you do, right? Some people have different additional spaces, like attic is not finished. You can finish attic. You go through the permitting process, you go with the city you work, you can finish attic. Sometimes you can finish basement and also add additional square footage. There's some rules how you do it. You have to have egress window, have separate exit. Depends on the municipality, depends what they allow in the city, but it's one of the most common value add products. Also, you need to understand where it's considered bedroom, what's considered office. Sometimes I bought a building that had an office space there with a window, but it had enough room space to be a bedroom. So what I did, we just added a closet there. And when the room has closet and the window, it's considered a bedroom. So that's the most simple value add process that you can do there.
Yeah, that's great advice. Now, you talk a lot about underwriting and how underwriting of real estate deals is one of the most important skills that you can have. So, two-part question, just to make sure everybody understands. What do you mean when you say underwriting a real estate deal? And then, what are some advice you can give on what to look for when you're underwriting a real estate deal?
Just a little back up, like underwriting is in a nutshell is analysis of the deal, right? We understand in the numbers that actually this deal is worth this much or even more, in a nutshell. When I'm trying to buy a deal, I'm trying to buy it with built-in equity already. Trying to buy 75 cents on a dollar, so I have my exit strategy down the road. So when we're talking about underwriting, it's like when you get an appraiser, right? They underwrite your properties. They tell you how much the value of the properties will be. So when you underwrite the property, you reverse engineer same idea of processes, and you understand, okay, based on comps in the area, you need to understand this much. I have this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms, and my comps in the area, compatible properties, right? They have similar bedroom bathroom count and square footage, right? It depends on the unit size. Now, what's interesting, and I want to back up to my story, right? How did I scale to 25 units in the years two? And it's a very rapid growth. So what I did in the first year alone, I underwrote almost 100 properties, and I bought only two family house. On a second year, I bought 5 units, but that year I underwrote 500 properties. 500 properties I underwrote through Bigger Pockets calculator. On a year two, after I was done with 500, I already was under contract for 7 units for another duplex, and by the end of the year I got another like 17, 18 units. But the point is that it's a process, right? You need to teach yourself to go through the process and to understanding your market. The market is varies, right? Market dynamics. It's not only underwriting, and underwriting is analysis in a nutshell. It's not only about numbers, but you also need to look into the area, to the neighborhood. What is the dynamic, local dynamics in the area? Will this property appreciate? Will it cash flow? Will someone rent there, or it's a war zone? It's a part of the underwriting cycle. So that's in a nutshell how I created UWise. Because throughout the year I underwrote thousands of properties, from single family, small multifamily, large commercial. I underwrote self-storages, mobile home parks. The idea is the same in around all of the properties. And now you need to understand, first you need to understand what kind of property you have, right? And this is, I'm walking you through my process of UWise. It's short of Underwrite Wise. I made it short of UWise. But idea is here very simple. First, you need to understand what kind of property you have there, right? Is it single family or small multifamily, commercial retail? You need to understand what it is. And by understanding it, you need to go deeper and understand, okay, how many bedrooms and bathrooms in this property? How many square feet in this property? And and so on and so forth. And if you have multiple units, you have to have breakdown of each unit type. You have couple one bedrooms in that building. You have one studio. I have three two bedrooms, and so on and so forth. And you have garage. It's additional value add, right? After you're done with understanding what you have as a basis, then you can understand, okay, now I need to dive deeper and understand the specific dynamics. Let's underwrite market. Where is the property located? And by that I mean, okay, what we need to understand, what's vacancy rate in this market? How many months of the year they have the property is considered to be vacant? It depends on every market separately. For commercial, we also look for cap rate. It's a whole another story. I'm not going to go there right now. But from simple stuff, you need to understand what's your rental rates, right? Each property has a rental rate, market rent that it's rated. And market rent can vary, right? Sometimes people have put lipstick on a pig, and they just rent it as is, very old, outdated property. It has very low rental income. And there are some people like to do granite countertops, and this is high rental income. I always like to stay in a median level. I don't overdo my renovations, but I don't like putting lipstick on a pig. I like to change kitchen cabinets. I like to update what I need to update in the property and have a nice vinyl floors, beautiful painted and renovated apartment. So after you understand your rental rates, I usually take 5 comps for each rental rate for each unit type. And after you're done with that, you go to, okay, what's our sales comps? Because when you underwrite residential, commercial, it's also important that it's property cash flow. It's not only, hey, what's the value, what's speculation on the values of the buildings, but it's also understanding, okay, what's the rental income for this property, how much it can generate, and the cash flow per month. So I need to understand if it's going to be profitable, it's going to be money pit for me, right? And after that, I need to understand what's a path of progress, like the name of my podcast, path of progress. We need to understand how far is Whole Foods, how far is Starbucks, Trader Joe's. The reason being is those major retailers, when they are located nearby your property, it's a signal that this area is already developed or it's developing. It's a good sign because those major retailers, they don't put their location for no reason. They only want to target specific audience, specific customer with specific income base, so they can bring their income up. They have big marketing research groups that are doing that for them. And of course, for local standpoint, I want to understand what kind of school nearby. So we look for elementary, middle, and high school. We want to understand how far is hospital, how far is university, because the business plan varies on those locations. And you can one plan maybe not gonna work, but hey, if the university next door and they need student housing, maybe you can maximize that potential, that direction. And this is all about exploration, right? Step two in UIs and in real lives, that's what I did before by hands, is all about understanding what's going on in the market. And of course, census, local demographics. We need to understand household income and what's population in this particular area, and pros and cons. I'm just doing before UIs, I was just doing research. Hey, what's happening in the area? What's is there any pros and cons invest in the area? Is there any shootings, or is there any major business is leaving that city for good and now you have unemployment? You want to do this research before jumping into the new areas that you don't know about. And thankfully in UIs, I already have those AI tools that help me to find this data and give you the links for that. After you understand the core idea of the area and the market in your where you invest in, where you planning to invest, you go to the next stage. The next stage, and then realize the same, you need to understand your assumption. So your business plan. Okay, how much are you planning to spend on renovation for this unit? And which beauty of UIs is it's self-guided. We don't provide estimate like Zillow because it doesn't work. You know, Zillow, they lost a lot of money using their models to acquire properties. And five different investors can underwrite one deal in five different ways because everyone has their own risk appetite. Everyone has their own teams around it. Everyone like to do it differently. As I mentioned before, some people like just to paint it and leave it as is. And some people like to go with granite countertops and do gut renovation and put everything brand new and don't touch maintenance for many, many years ahead. It's a different business plan, different strategy, but nothing is wrong in this business. It's whatever you prefer, whatever you like. So this means in this stage, in step three in UIs of Underwrite and analytical tools, you just need to choose what kind of renovation you're going to be doing, and you need to choose what's your rental comp will be. If you're doing granite countertop, you're going to go high rental, comparable what we provided before, but we always suggest median. I like to stay on the median regardless of the level of renovation I'm doing, and that will help us to go quicker and faster. After this step, you choose your income ratios, your expense ratio, and we have some national average numbers, 3% increase income and expense for annually wise. It's national average, right? And then on the stage four, we look for stabilized projection of how much the value of the building will be and what it will be look like when it's stabilized. When you renovate the building with your maximum potential, what are you looking in terms of income, cash flow, and in terms of valuation, and reverse engineer from there. Okay, if I'm buying 75 cents on a dollar, this is lines that you can change. If you like 50 cents on a dollar, you wholesaler, or you buy 80 cents on a dollar, that's totally up to you. It's your business plan, but you can change it and adopt it and make it as you see fit. After you're done with that, you got your values, you got your offer, and we have tools in UIs to help you to get to the offer line. So I'm going a full cycle here from, hey, put a property address to draft of offer letter or LOI, which the system remembers, and it feeds back to the deal room that we have local CRM, so you never lose a lead again, and you have your notifications, you have your all information saved for good.
And so this service, this tool that you have, excuse me, it's called U, as in the letter U, right? Wise, WISE. And that website is uwise.io, right?
That's correct.
So www.uwise.io. And so let's be sure that the audience understands that what this does, first of all, it's AI, right? It's
It
AI.
aggregates different. It's not one AI. We aggregate different AIs and we aggregate different data providers so we can source the best data for you and to give more. The problem with AI nowadays, if you go to ChatGPT and hear, oh, I can do it by myself, ChatGPT, I put information. The AI is tend to trip, to hallucinate. And the problem is you wouldn't know until the mistakes are done. And what we're doing to avoid this, we have guided report, right? We don't lean on one AI. We have different, we're using strengths and of different AIs to balance it out and to hold it in one system aggregate. And we source specific data that we have a proven track with, and we know it's good.
So this AI software, or it's multiple AIs, um, to recap what it does is it analyzes a deal, it figures up what your offer should be, right? And does it also like create the offer?
So it's not figuring out by itself. It helps you to guide you to understand what should be the value of the property and how much you want. And so everyone has again different risk appetite. So some people like 75 cents on a dollar and have different rental income. And you need to understand that you can tweak the system what you prefer as a human being, as an investor. But then we have built-in tools. So you put property address into LOI or offer draft, right? If offer it's for residential, LOI for commercial, letter of intent, and you just put your highlight property address that you already underwrote. It will feed automatically price suggestion, and you input once your personal information into the system and it will remember it forever. So next time you do the same process, you will create a new offer. It already remembers your information, and it takes you 2 seconds to draft a new offer letter or LOI for commercial, which later on it feeds to your deal room where you have your list of your properties and you have your offer letter when it was drafted, and then you can update manually what's the status of it because it's offline.
Well, that's great because it's not only analyzing and creating the offers for single family houses, it's also doing it for multifamily as well.
Correct. And by end of Q1, we are planning to add other assets as a mobile home park, self storage, hotels, you name it. I want to have one app for all. And Jay, I want to mention something very important for your listeners. This channel is about private money raising, right? And what happened here, guys, is this app built is not only for buyers or sellers that want to understand the value at the moment, but also for passive investor, for private money guys. And if you want to invest into the deal, but for example, your sponsor, your investor who invites you to the deal, you never deal with him before. You heard he's a good guy. You've done some deals, so he has good track record, but it's a new area for you. You don't know about it, and you don't have time to research on this area. So what do? You go to this app and you get third-party report with AI, understanding where the values will be. And sometimes it shows, let's say, 1,500 rental income, and it will show the cap rate, 7% cap rate for commercial and different vacancy rate. And for example, your sponsor has different numbers when he presented you the deal, but now you as a passive investor or as a private money lender, you can come back to this sponsor and say, listen, why is your $1,400 rent showing in the system, but you have 1,500 in what you presented to me, and why cap rate is 7 and 6, and there's discrepancy in the report that I got from this AI tool and yours. But let me tell you this: AI doesn't. It's not a bulletproof solution, right? There can be some changes. It's not 100% sure thing. You need always conversation. It enables conversation with a sponsor because, first of all, you have your different business model. Maybe this sponsor, his plan is to put grand countertop, add amenities to the property, and do a lot of different new things to add value for the building and change the class of the building. And now, because it has amenities, because it's going to be comparing not for a low-grade property with low rental, but he will be able to aim for higher rental rate. And what happens now, you enable a good, healthy conversation between a regular investor or private money guy and a sponsor who brings the deal. And now, instead of sitting this one out and he just maybe now I ask my educated questions, he answered, and what good sponsor should do, he should answer and he should explain his position. And now, like, I feel more comfortable investing in this deal. So now we not only tackling this issue for buyers and sellers, we also helping private money guys and in regular investor and passive investor to be more comfortable and educated with investing in real estate. We want to be more attainable and more common for people to use and to invest in real estate.
So the tool can be used for a real estate investor themselves, or for a potential investor or private lender that wants to get involved in the deal. but they want to do some research themselves. That website again is www.uwisc.io. Alex, my lands, you have covered a lot of territory here. Any final comments or parting thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
Yes, just one thing. Guys, you need to understand, everyone is so scared of AI and nervous, but AI doesn't replace trust and relationships. In the end of the day, real estate is about network, and your network is your net worth is a very meaningful sentence. But what AI helps with, it replaces bad assumptions, slow underwriting, and preventable mistakes, which is exactly what private lenders care about the most. So check it out and don't be afraid of AI. It's here to help. And the sooner you realize that it's possible and it will help you on this journey, the sooner you'll be ahead of the curve.
Again, that's www.u, the letter U, wise, WISC.io. Alex, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks so much, Jay.
You got it. Well, you heard Alex break down how he went from a W-2 job and $30,000 in savings to scaling real units, real deals, and now building systems that helps investors like you move faster and smarter, not by guessing, not by hoping, but by understanding the numbers and backing them with relationships. And this is Raising Private Money. It's not about convincing people to trust you. It's about becoming the kind of real estate investor that the right people want to fund and do business with you. If this episode helped you see deals differently and got your eyes open to AI a little bit more, do me a favor. Follow Raising Private Money. Share this episode. Follow me. Share it with another real estate investor and leave me a review. That's how this message gets spread. And if you're serious about raising money with confidence, clarity, and credibility, I'll see you right here on the next episode. I'm Jay Conner, the Private Money Authority. This is Raising Private Money, and I'll see you here next time.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide. And download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.